All right. Welcome, everybody, back to another Zero Bytes Linux podcast. Uh, Today, as always, I got Jesse with me. Hey, Jesse.
Hello, Steve. We are finally here again.
We're
We're getting better
finally.
at this, I think.
Yeah, slowly. It will take us a few episodes to get there, but eventually we'll get there. Uh, Today, we don't have much to talk about. We just got a couple of main subjects like Unity on Arch. Is it a good or a bad thing? I got no idea. I don't use Unity, and I never used Unity. So maybe you can chime in a little bit.
Well, I defended and badmouthed Unity in equal portion when I was an Ubuntu user for a long time, probably over 15 years. I've been an Ubuntu user. Being a Arch/Zero user is something I've only done in the last year or so. So I remember when Gnome went from being the default on Ubuntu, and it was replaced with Unity, and it was a huge uproar. People didn't like it. It was weird. It was strange. It felt like they were trying to approximate some of the features with Mac OS on Ubuntu when they brought Unity desktop over as the default. And I think in part of the way they were right, but I never really liked the icon themes. I didn't like the left sidebar thing that they did, but it was a step in the right direction. At the time they were looking at putting Unity as the same theme for every device Ubuntu could ever land on. And I imagine that that's probably part of the name Unity, because the whole experience was unified.
Yeah.
If you were on a phone, if you were on a tablet, if you were on a desktop, Unity always looked and behaved the same way, or it was supposed to. And there's something to be said for that. Like if you're looking at putting Linux on all devices as opposed to just a desktop or by extension a laptop, then something like Unity is a step in the right direction.
I would agree. Like I said, I've never used Unity before. I came to Linux late in the game when Ubuntu had dropped it from their main releases already. But from the I've seen a few videos about it. It looks decent because it's got a little bit of transparency with Compiz, because it uses the Compiz compositor.
Shout out to the spinning cube.
Yeah.
Who remembers the spinning cube on Compiz?
I've seen it because I used it on one of Manjaro's releases. It was embedded for a short period of time.
And you still have window burning in Zero, right?
Yeah, but unfortunately the cube is not there.
Compiz was such a pain to set up. With pre-Unity, it was. And of course, that was back when NVIDIA drivers were the card to have under Linux.
Okay.
Back when AMD was ATI, it was a whole different ball game.
Oh, it was that difficult.
It was not good. But we're getting off topic a little bit. Unity, it's pretty cool. What have you seen in the videos that you liked besides the transparency?
It's mainly the transparency and the various effects. But the layout, the desktop layout, I'm not a fan of. You got a panel on the side and a panel on the top. It's like taking too much real estate.
One thing that I did, I always would auto hide the panel for the side. You can also use I think there's an extension that sort of does like panel to dock. So it'll throw it down to the bottom, very Plank or Latte or Mac OS style, where it's not on that left side. Unity, as it matured, got a lot of customization that made it better.
and it still uses Compass because part of the since I'm a distro maintainer, I had to dig around for all the packages that it shipped with, and one of the packages is Compass. And I'm showing the users right now, and for the listeners, I'll include a link to the post in the show notes, but. It says here, what I don't understand is why do we have to switch to LightDM? Can't we use it with SDDM? For example, if I wanted to include it in Zero Linux, which uses by default SDDM, having to switch to LightDM might mess a little bit with the whole Qt base of Qt based.
I think you're hitting. I think you're hitting on the issue right there. I believe that comp is either GNOME or GTK based.
Yeah, and LightDM, so is LightDM. I understand, but in Zero Linux, you could keep SDDM and use GNOME at the same time. And
and you know what? You're just going to have to download it and give it a try and see what breaks.
I'm going to work on that. But they do mention that it's experimental for now. It's not complete.
Compass was always experimental.
No, I'm talking about the whole Unity thing on Arch is still an experimental thing. But I have heard straight out of the horse's mouth from the developers over at Manjaro that they might include it as a community edition. So Manjaro might get a Unity edition.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I can just hear some of the bigger podcasts blowing up about this.
Yeah.
Oh, you're turning Arch into Ubuntu.
Yeah.
I can hear it.
It's nice to have more desktop environments on Arch.
Oh, sure.
And I consider Unity to be different enough to be something I would consider testing, at least, because it's good looking and it has its fans, and a lot of these fans maybe switched away from it because they switched away from Debian base, they switched to Arch. And on Arch, since we didn't have Unity, they started using different desktop environment. Maybe Budgie, for those people loving GTK, coming from the GTK world, they might have used any of the GTK based desktop environments. So.
Yeah, and Budgie does not feel like Unity. Budgie doesn't feel like
anything right now.
Budgie feels like cinnamon with a few bits of eye candy on top.
I was watching a video just now about Budgie. I don't want to talk too much about it, but it was they were mentioning that the reason Budgie hasn't evolved so much is because they have divorced. They had a huge divorce with GTK.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's doing that these days.
Yeah, and they wanted at some point to switch to the Qt platform, which caused an uproar between Solus, the Solus developer, and the Budgie developers. So it's stuck on version 10. So now they're doing version 10.1, 10.2. They're up to 10.7 now. So. They promised version 11, but version 11 has been in the works for many years now. So when version 11 will come out and what will it use, we don't know. They're still in the process of, okay, we're going to continue the 10 series on GTK, but version 11, we want to switch it to Qt. But if they switch to Qt, that's going to... because it's a whole new base. It's a whole rework.
Maybe we'll see it be an official fork off of the base at that point.
If it does use Qt, I will consider it then because I'm a Qt. I'm not saying I'm cute. I'm not saying I'm cute.
You're very cute, Steve. Listeners, you got to go to the YouTube. Steve is very cute.
If they switch to Qt, since I love Qt and I love because it's more customizable than GNOME and GTK, which will be the second subject we're going to be talking about today.
Yep.
But I would consider it, hands down. Okay. I would consider it.
Here's one thing that I will say in very good defense of Unity. I think as far as things that integrate with the overall desktop environment, Unity did that very well.
Yeah.
Unity really did that very well, and I think that was maybe one of the core focuses, is everything felt like it was supposed to be there. You know, you got the way that it blended in the GTK apps. Everything looked cohesive.
Yeah.
Gnome has problems with that.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Admittedly, GTK and everything with the Qt libraries has some problems with that too, down to the point where KDE has separate theming for GTK-based tools and apps. Exactly. It's a good way to handle it, but it still doesn't look like all of it is one unified operating system, and Unity really comes through in that.
Yes, I 100% agree, because Unity, the compositor used by Unity Compiz, makes it get the cute touches, like the effects, the transparencies, the blur, all that, whereas Gnome are using Mutter, and Mutter is smooth like butter, but
if it works,
when it works, and no transparencies whatsoever. It's all solid. Well, we're going to get to that subject. And this subject, please, listeners, you're going to hear a mouthful. So.
Oh, boy. All right.
But to finish.
You got this might be your white whale, and it's me with the NVIDIA drivers and OBS.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Just go for it.
I'm not going to talk about it right now. I want to talk first about, because I want to get the blood boiling first. I just want to talk about Fedora 37. Fedora 37.
So you downloaded it?
Downloaded, yes. Installed, not yet.
Okay.
And if I've got to install it, I'm going to install it in a VM, because I've installed it before on bare metal, and don't get me started on the issues, NVIDIA issues. It doesn't even boot the ISO. I have to boot it in safe mode just to get to install the thing. But I'm not going to talk bad things about Fedora. I'm just going to say that this is a beautiful release of Fedora. I like their wallpaper. I've seen people talk about the beta version, but basically it looks the same as the beta. I love the wallpaper they're using. It's nature, and they're doing the same thing as GNOME 43 are, where you have light wallpaper for light mode and the same wallpaper in dark mode for dark. Dynamic wallpapers. I like that.
Oh, that's a nice touch.
Yeah, I wish KDE would do that. But the main issue with the main news with this release is now it supports the Raspberry Pi officially, not as a beta or anything. Officially supports the Raspberry Pi, and for
Fedora on a Raspberry Pi.
I don't know how, since it's GNOME based, I don't know how slow or fast it will be. I need to test it. I cannot judge before testing.
Of course.
But it's good news that they're supporting ARM now. Yeah, this is great news. Now we have choices. We have choices when it comes to ARM, especially the Raspberry Pi 400. We got now Endeavor. Yeah. We got Manjaro, and now we got Fedora.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sure there are many others out there, but not full-on distros. The others are
Ubuntu's been doing Raspberry Pi for a long time, or at least Debian-based stuff.
Yeah, Debian, because the main Raspberry Pi OS is based on Debian, but they are all using XFCE. Most of them are all using XFCE because it's
because they want to be light.
Yeah. This is what I'm afraid of on Fedora. Since it's using GNOME, I'm afraid it will be too slow unless they did some magic, some sorcery, some sort of sorcery to make it run fast.
There's only one correct answer. You know what we've got to do? You get a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
But you do an eGPU enclosure with a 4000 series.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
But will it play Crysis, Steve?
No, definitely not.
It will not play Crysis. Okay.
We got, and it supports the new architectures by default, the new Ryzen AM5 series. It supports the new Intel GPUs by default.
I'm excited for those. Are you going to try one?
Where am I going to get my hands on the hardware? That's the biggest problem right now. But there is a user. There is a user who has the Ryzen 7950X processor, and he's got the 4090. Okay, this is the kind of user I would dream to be. But at least this user was proof that you need all older ISOs that were built prior to September or during September will not work. Everybody needs a new ISO, so that's why I can't wait for December release of Zero Linux, where those people can use it. Because as it stands, the September release will not work for any of those users. If you're one of those,
how long is on the countdown currently for the listeners for the December release? Do we have a countdown up?
No, we don't have a countdown up yet. It means that I will have to take down the current one. The countdown will start December 2nd or 3rd, but the release will be on December 15th.
Okay. Early Christmas present for some of us.
Speaking of Christmas presents, there will be a Christmas present. A real
excited.
One. Yeah, on December 24th at 12 a.m. my time. I don't know what time it'll be for the rest of the world, but my time at 12 a.m. something will appear on the website. I'm not going to say what. Something will appear on the website.
You heard it here first, guys.
Yep. So to finish up the Fedora talk, it's something I am really excited to try, because I've heard nothing but good news about Fedora. My only issue is, will it NVIDIA? Not will it run Crysis, will it NVIDIA? Because every time I installed it before, I had issues with NVIDIA. And don't forget that on this release, they removed all the hardware codecs, the AV1 codecs, because of licensing issues.
Oh no! Oh, when you did use Ubuntu for a little while, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember having to go and enable the extra repositories and install what did they used to call that package? Ubuntu restricted extras.
Yes.
Ubuntu restricted codecs.
Yes.
Are we looking at having to still do that kind of thing on Fedora?
Yes.
Wow.
There's talks about a way to circumvent or to bypass this limitation, because of licensing issues. Is to add RPM Fusion repositories and get some package of some name. I forgot the name of the package.
Right.
And install it from there.
Kind of like Ubuntu restricted extras, right? Yeah. So is it all revolving around DivX and stuff like that?
It's something related to the not FFmpeg. FFmpeg is open source. The AV1 codecs. Intel proprietary codecs, and everything around that. So by default, Fedora 37, and they applied that down the line. So even if you're running Fedora 36, after an update, it's going to disable all these codecs, and you will have
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that is a big issue, especially for streamers and people who rely on who encode videos on a daily basis. That is a big oopsie. But
Yeah, I have questions about how that's going to affect the Nobara base.
yeah, the Nobara base, he has his own repositories. I think he's going to include them.
Because Nobara is targeted at streamers and
Yeah,
gamers.
yeah, exactly. I would think
If
that
that's just a downstream release thing that he doesn't watch for, it's going to be a bad time.
yeah, so that's the thing that I'm worried about. But no need to worry. It's open source. You will always be able to add a repository, download. But having to do that, it's one step extra. But at least they removed their hands. They removed the responsibility of their shoulders, because that would cause bring in lawyers. They would have to bring in lawyers and whatever to get the licensing.
Absolutely, yeah.
They don't want to do that, so they decided to just leave it up to the user to get them and to go and jump into the gray area, whatever. So it's one extra step users now have to do. But it's not that it's going to stop them from doing it. So I'm not too worried.
Okay.
And that's it about Linux, Fedora Linux. I'm going to be trying it on the Raspberry Pi because I'm really curious about the performance. And because my Raspberry Pi is gathering dust. Yesterday I opened it up to show a friend of mine what is the Raspberry Pi, because I had no idea what the Raspberry Pi was.
Sure.
There were ants all over the thing. So
oh no.
so I need to clean it up and test Fedora on it. That'll give it some purpose at least. With that being said, now is about Gnome. What should I say about Gnome? Gnome is a wonderful desktop environment. I made a video and I admitted that. And you agree. If it's used properly, it can be a wonderful desktop environment.
It really can.
But with the recent adoption of libadwaita and applying limitations to theming, I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm going to say right now is my opinion and my opinion alone. I'm not generalizing. I'm not bashing GNOME at all. But since I'm a ricer, and Jesse, you know that you love, you have a certain love for my sweet rice.
Yes, I refuse to use anything else.
Same like I refuse to use anything other than Legan. But I tried to theme GNOME, not knowing that I was going through one of the deepest rabbit holes I've ever gone through in my life. With the current change to libadwaita, if the theme itself doesn't have the required patches for GTK4 in their themes, they're not going to work. They're going to follow. GTK is going to fall apart. I've been working on GNOME 43 for the past 15 days. I know. Somebody created an application to circumvent all the limitations of libadwaita called Gradience. It's a wonderful tool.
Yeah, you've been talking about that a little bit offline.
Gradience is a wonderful tool. It allows you to apply CSS tricks, the CSS tricks as I call them, to make the theme, the GTK3 theme, because most of the themes right now out there are still GTK3 based, not 4. So it uses the CSS tricks to apply the GTK3 color scheme to GTK4 by inserting a CSS file, color scheme file in the GTK4 folder. Problem is, you will lose light mode. If the theme is a dark-based theme, you will lose light mode. Even if you click the drop-down to switch to light mode, you'll still be in dark mode because there's the CSS override.
CSS overrides.
Yeah,
Yep.
CSS overrides. So it's not perfect, but who uses a light thing? these days.
Actually, Melissa uses light themes here at the house, and it drives me bonkers because I'm used to. We both like work in relative darkness, as you can see
Yeah.
here, but her eyes require that dark mode is hard, so she actually needs light mode for her eyes to function a little bit better. It's less of a strain.
Yeah.
So I've seen people that use light mode. I don't enjoy it, but there is a base for it, I suppose.
Yeah. There is, but the problem is very, very, very few, and I only found 4, I think, in my search that support Libet Vita, and they're not the color scheme I like. They're either brown or khaki or those kind of colors, and that's not Zero Linux. That's not
No.
me.
No.
And there was one White Sur, the Dark Sur, White Sur. One of them is Dark Sur, White Sur theme.
Is it going after Mac OS Big Sur? Is that the name?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why it's called that. But they have a patch included as well to apply, and even the developer of the theme adds at the bottom of the README on GitHub. It's a hack. Don't expect it to work 100%. So,
So does it conflict with or work in tandem with GNOME tweaks?
it works in GNOME tweaks. This is how you change the theme. But
Okay, so you pulled gradients over via GNOME tweaks.
oh no. So this is Gradience. Gradience is just an app that allows you to either create your own color scheme and apply system-wide, or you can select from a list of presets, as it shows in this picture.
Okay.
Search presets, and I was lucky to find Leon Dark in there.
Hey, there you go.
I couldn't find Sweet though.
What does synthwave look like?
Since
Because I feel like a name like synthwave should look like Sweet.
I haven't tried it. I just tried Leon Dark, to be
course.
honest. But
We like what we like.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
But even after applying it, there were so many inconsistencies. It drove me crazy. I'm a consistency fanatic. If it's not consistent, I go crazy. It seems the title bars, the window decorations, remain Advaita Dark, but the window uses the color scheme you selected, like Leon Dark.
No. That's janky. No,
Yeah,
I don't
very
like that.
janky. So I opted not. The Gradience is a nice tool, and they're trying their best with every update to fix issues and stuff. But
Of course.
my issue with that is the fact that they apply overrides. So
Well, I mean, they're working with the limitations that they have.
yeah.
It's honestly a cool way to think about it, but it's probably just almost impossible to execute well.
Exactly. This is what drove me up the wall because I'm a tinkerer, I'm a customizer, I'm a ricer. With GNOME, with GNOME's limitations in this area, I understood from the get-go that this desktop environment is not for me when it comes to customization. It's not for a customizer. You can customize it using extensions, but the thing is,
That's its own problem.
yeah, it's like they tell you on one side they tell you GNOME is not meant to be used with extensions, but they give you access to extensions. It's the same on Arch. I'm not saying they're bad. It's the same on Arch. They tell you this is the AUR, but it's not recommended to use the AUR. Same thing.
You
Same.
can do it, but it's what? Even Steve, even you do it. You tell us all the time. If you don't use Zero the way I do, it's on you. Nobody's immune to it.
No, I don't say that exactly. I just say there was something I used to say early on in the development of Zero Linux where I do not support installations on Macs, for example. because Macs are a whole host of other problems.
The Intel Mac, I think, would do better than an M1.
Yeah, Intel still Touch Bar Intel Macs not support, not very well supported.
Look, even Mac fans didn't like the Touch Bar that much.
Where does that put me? I like the Touch Bar. Uh-oh. Can I hide? I like the Touch Bar. I have the Touch Bar 26, first ever new Mac with the butterfly keyboard.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I got lucky. I never had an issue with I still don't have an issue with the butterfly keyboard. Only my battery is dead.
Well, yeah.
That's $150 down the drain.
Well.
But other than that, my MacBook is useful because I'm an iOS user. So if ever I want to restore my phone, I need my MacBook. MacBook are very useful. But yeah, still the limitations of GNOME. I get it. They're for stability. They prefer a stable desktop environment versus a super customizable yet unstable. Kind of like KDE. KDE is a lot of features, a lot of instability as well. I'm not saying anything bad about KDE since I'm my KDE super fan.
Hey, I have a favorite instability with KDE. A favorite one.
Which one?
I close my laptop. You know, all my production I do on my i5 laptop.
Yeah.
So I close my laptop. I open it. It wakes up from hibernate just fine, and I get that lovely little chime that KWin was restarted due to a graphics reset, because it's what's happening is Optimus is saying use the NVIDIA card, not the Intel, so it crashes KWin when I open my laptop from hibernate. Nothing actually breaks. It just has to refresh the entire KWin.
Yeah, I have the same issue when I full screen an app. I have Auto Composer included in Zero Linux, which disables the compositor for better experience with gaming. But sometimes it decides to crash KWin randomly.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to live with these annoyances as long as I get my visual freedom to customize visually the system however I want. With GNOME, you can theme it as long as you follow what they say. You follow their guidelines. You stick to their guidelines. And when I said it resembles macOS a lot, I got flack for it. But that's the reality. If you put GNOME next to macOS, it's like twin brothers. You got the drop down now that looks like macOS, the one macOS came up with back in.
That's really something to think about.
Yeah, they're cloning macOS completely, minus the dock. The dock is still their own version of the dock. It's hidden behind this overview effect, but I'm starting. And when you click the application overview thing, it opens up full screen just like on macOS. And I'm like, okay, GNOME has been doing it for ages. I don't know if Apple copied it off of GNOME or if GNOME copied it off of Apple, but for a new user who has seen macOS recently and is coming first time to GNOME, they're gonna think it's macOS. And with the top panel being so limited, now you don't see all your tray items in the top. Some of them are hidden. You have to get an extension to unhide your tray icons to see them. So more and more we have to rely on extensions, because more and more is becoming tight. So when they say now it's in my opinion, it's a moot point when they say you're not meant to use extensions.
Right.
Well, now we have to.
It sounds like they are sacrificing features for stability, and there's something to be said for that. But
Exactly.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work for you.
It doesn't work for me. It doesn't. But I said in the video, in my first impressions video, Gnome is amazingly stable, smooth, user friendly, and easy to use.
Well, you see, and here's the thing: you
This is what
accomplish that by taking out variables, and that's what they're doing.
Exactly. That's why I started this whole conversation by saying I'm not bashing Gnome. They're doing what they're doing correctly.
Yeah.
But Gnome used to be themable, enjoyable with when we were using GTK3. We just applied the GTK3 theme, it would work, no issues. System-wide, no issues. With libadwaita, now theme developers have to triple the amount of work to be able to make it coherent and unified.
Well, if you remember, I think what's going to happen is we'll see GTK2 support get dropped, because this happened when the shift to GTK3 occurred.
Yeah.
We had things that were broken that people wanted to carry over from GTK2.
Yeah.
That didn't work on 3 when, GNOME 3 was all the big rage.
Yeah.
You had GNOME 3, you had GTK3, and people that were diehard GTK2 fans forked off and made Cinnamon and laid the groundwork for Ubuntu Mate. We might see a similar shift towards GTK4 being the new.
It's going to take a while. It's just going to take a long, long time before it happens. At least a year or two after the 44 release. The way I see it is, once they reach the 44 release, they're going slowly. 42 is going to be fading out. GTK3 being faded out. But what I saw about 44 is just going to be an iterative update to 43. So it's from here on in, it's going to be GTK4 for a long time. So, but I really hope theming gets better on at least the consistency part. Because I got a reply from Basi, one of the GNOME developers on Fostodon, when I was talking about the whole theming situation. Because there's a thing that got to me, I couldn't understand. Me and a friend of mine who's testing my something I'm working on. The drop-down, the new drop-down that they're working on, that came out in GNOME 43, even if you switch to light mode, it stays dark. Yeah, and I was wondering if that was an issue or not. He replied to me. He said, "This is intended. This is the intended behavior. This thing will stick in dark mode. It will not change to light mode. This is the way they wanted it. This is the way they implemented it." So I was like, "But that's an inconsistent." I told him, "But that's an inconsistency." He was like, "To someone, it's an inconsistency. To another person, it's the way it should be." So it's a
okay. Yeah.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. It's just because I'm a consistency guy. It annoys the heck out of me. Because if I want to go light, I want everything to be light. And I noticed that the top panel stays dark, even if you're light or dark.
Yep.
That's intended. That's the way they intended it. Done. And nothing will change their mind. It's not like we can go create posts and ask them, and no. What I love about GNOME, this is something good. This is not something bad. What I love about GNOME, they have a vision and they're working on that singular vision.
Yes.
Do one thing.
They're not scattered all over the
do one thing and do it well. This is what they're doing, and I love that about the GNOME people. But when we switch to the other side of the coin, because the desktop environment coin only has two sides, and in reality, and it's KDE and Gnome. All the other ones, no. In reality, I talked to people, developers. I was like, "What about the XFCE? What about this? What about that?" They were like, "They're forks of." XFCE is a spin on Gnome, and LXQT is another spin on KDE. The main two desktop environments that everybody considers are KDE and Gnome. I get it, Cinnamon, Mate, and everything. There's still those, but all those.
Go start a fight somewhere. Ask them about Deepin. Ask them about Enlightenment.
They're all forks of these two.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I think, in my opinion, everything else is a fork of these two main desktop environments. Like you have DWM and BSPWM, but you got Dusk. What is Dusk? It's a spin of, I think, either DWM or BSPWM, or one of the two. But this is a spin. A guy patched the files and he released his own spin. So, yeah, those are my two favorite. People think that I hate Gnome and I'm never going to use Gnome. No, I would like everybody to know that one of my systems is running Gnome. Zero Linux with Gnome. Uh-oh, did I let something spill? Did something?
Uh-oh, you said you weren't going to talk about it. You got me surprised on the podcast. What are you doing, Steve?
Something slipped. Uh-oh. Let's go back. It's running Gnome. One of my systems is running Gnome. Well, now that it slipped, something is in the works along those lines, but I will not be announcing it now. It's not Zero Linux with Gnome. If you thought that, if that's what you thought, psych. It's not exactly that. It's something different.
Yep. You're gonna have to tune into a future podcast to hear the rest of that one.
Yeah, it'll be announced sometime in December. But I've been working. Let's just say I've been working on it tirelessly for the past 15 days. As far as Zero Linux, the main release, the KDE, all I can say is it has been done for the past 2 weeks. So just waiting on December 15th to put it out the door. And I want to let everybody know that starting January, there'll be monthly releases. And don't expect features. It's just going to be iterative updates with fixes and all under the hood. So yeah, it's going to go back to monthly, so you don't have to wait 3 months for every release. But yeah, Zero Linux is on a stable path right now. It has reached the vision I always wanted it to be. And
congratulations on that.
Yeah, it was 2 years in the work. 2 years working on studying, getting to a place where it's level. There's no more issues anymore. No more major issues anymore. If there are any issues, it's more hardware related issues, hardware support. But other than that, Zero Linux has been stable for quite a while.
Yeah, I'm using it in 2 production environments now.
Yeah.
Not just for gaming and streaming, but I started a new job on Monday, and I can't say a lot about what I do for client privacy, but it is stable enough to use in a medical environment.
Cool. That's what my target. That has always been my target, and since Zero Linux is now totally in-house. It's no longer relying on ALCI, Arco's ALCI.
You touched on that last week, so tell us more about that.
We use a script created by one of our awesome team members, KDE. I'll have a link in the show notes to how it works, but basically you just add the repo. It's the tool is hosted on his repo since he's maintaining it. You add his repo, you download the package, run the git clone the Zero Linux repository, and run ABS 0. That's it. One command, and you build yourself an ISO. Which brings me to a very important subject. We have always welcomed. I don't know why nobody was doing it or has done it so far, but our code is online. It's on GitHub. You could, if you want us to change something, PRs are welcome. Pull requests are welcome. Merge requests welcome. If you want us to change anything in the code, or if you understand the code and you want us to add something, remove something, fix something, let us know. The code is on GitHub. I'll link it in the show notes if you don't know about it yet. It's GPL3. It's FOSS. It's we have always welcomed people helping to make the project better. I don't know why no one did. So that's weird. Like I see DT, for example, he puts his DTOS on GitHub. He gets hundreds and upon hundreds of contributions. I've had none, and Zero Linux has been out for 2 years. I don't get it. It's not that it doesn't mean that I'm going to include everything you request, but at least you can try, and with time, maybe Zero Linux will get better. Who knows? But we need your input. No, not just download the ISO, install it. If you know enough, why not study the code and provide us with changes and stuff? So yeah, it's out there. If you want it, you can even fork it and release your own ISO. That's FOSS. So yeah,
by Mr. Burns, finger tense here. Hey,
I don't mind it as long as you change the name. Of course, you don't release it as Zero Linux V2 or something.
Oh, well, there goes my plan. Damn it!
But
So you got your blood boiling a little bit. Let's talk about the topic we shifted.
which one? Oh, I lost my trail.
You had some things to say about a certain video card driver.
Oh yeah, NVIDIA driver. Well, I bit the bullet. Let's just say I bit the bullet. I last week I told him not to bite the bullet, and who bit the bullet? This guy. Yeah, I installed the beta drivers 525. What version is it? Let me check.
What does NeoFetch say? It's right there, right?
Yeah, 525.53. So it's still in beta, yet I built it and installed it. What happened? Just before this podcast, the whole computer froze.
Oh, yeah.
Yay, me!
I don't think I've ever heard you say my computer froze for as long as I've known you.
No. And it's not their fault. It's my fault. But it's been going good for the past, week? And
Yeah. Well, it is a beta driver that happens.
That happens, but before the podcast, why?
Oh, yeah, it's terrible timing.
Terrible timing.
I keep having that problem with currently with the Flatpak of OBS. Using the native is not doing that, oddly enough.
No, because using the native is still using the previous version of the driver. It always sticks to an older version of the driver.
Right.
I love that about the Flatpak version. That's another thing why I love Flatpaks, is they ship with whichever version works for that package. Okay, sometimes that results in a message in terminal when you're updating your Flatpaks telling you, oh, this application, this Flatpak is using an older version of this, which will no longer be supported at this point in time, please consider telling the developer to update the package. So I do tell the developers, and like last week there was an application, Make MKV, and nobody knows what it is. It takes a Blu-ray and it remuxes it into an MKV without compression, without anything. It just instead of
lossless? Just
lossless, yeah, lossless. It just takes the whole movie from the Blu-ray and it transcodes it without compression. So if
Does it pull Handbrake for that? Or
yeah, same like Handbrake kind of, but it's much simpler. It's just click on one button, click on another, and that's it, done. I love that tool. I've been using it on Windows and discovered that it exists on Linux, so I'm using it. Yes, I have a Blu-ray drive in my desktop. Yay, I'm old. But I own a lot of Blu-rays. I don't want to keep inserting the discs in the system to watch them.
Are you really that lazy, Steve?
Who uses optical media these days?
Okay, that's fair, and you don't have the wind up of the motor, and
yeah,
I think that streaming or software based is a smoother playback.
Yeah, I use Plex. I have all my movies now transcoded and living on my Plex server. I have 100 terabytes worth, so I'm out of space.
Well, movie night at your house. Got it.
I have now to delete a few because I'm out of space. I have to delete some, replace them with others.
Excuse me, I've just been presented with some breakfast. Sorry. Thank you.
Bon appetit. I just finished transcoding a few hours ago. I finished transcoding Dead Man Walking.
Nice.
It's one of my all-time favorites. One of the best Sean Penn and Susan Sarandon movies. And the next one after the podcast I'm going to transcode is Thelma and Louise.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. I'm starting to get rid of all my Blu-rays, but anyway, this tool is an amazing tool, but it uses NVIDIA to.
Does it pull from CUDA?
Yeah, it has to, but on the beta driver it kind of didn't work. It kind of died. It died and kind of crashed.
Yeah, we were actually starting to record the podcast, and then you were gone.
Yeah, it just. And another thing.
Yeah, I tried you on Discord. I tried you, a couple places, and you were just gone. MIA.
Yeah. No, I couldn't answer the Discord because the phone is the camera I'm using, so I cannot just unplug it. But. Yeah, and Make MKV was using the old GTK libraries. I contacted the developer on GitHub. He was like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot that was a thing," and he fixed it. He fixed it like 24 hours later. He pushed the fix.
Nice.
So, yeah, if you go and talk to the developers, tell them directly about issues instead of coming to middlemen and middle women or middle bots or whatever. Yeah. It's going to take a while.
Okay, then send some messages to NVIDIA and get back to us on how that goes.
Oh, okay. Well, when it comes to NVIDIA, yeah, I would agree. Deaf ears, but still. I'm waiting for. That's why I put the 525 drivers, the beta drivers, on my NVIDIA repository as separate packages, not replacing the main packages.
So you've got your own chaotic AUR now.
Not really. It's just the NVIDIA repo now has the 525, 520, 470, 390, 4 series of drivers, and each one has 7 files. So 4 times 7 is 28. I got 28 files on that repository. That's all there is. But the 525 is not made for everyone. That's why I chose to include it as a separate.
It is a beta, guys. It is a beta.
Yeah. It will replace the main one once it's stable, once it hits the stable channel. But for now, not for everyone. And I'm not going to tell you how to install it even. That's how far I'm going to go. Because I've suffered I'm a prime example that they're not made to be used on a daily. Well,
Okay. What's your top 3 this week?
My top 3 for this week is going to be a little bit different. It's what's it called? Droidcam, because it helps me with this podcast and it helps me record videos for my channel. Meld, again, I'm going to choose Meld this time again because it helped me on the G project, what I'm going to call the G project G or G project. And the last one is going to be very odd because it's KDE Settings. I've been using it a lot lately.
Hey. Yeah.
Because I'm discovering more and more about...
You're digging around as you're running into challenges on Gnome. What are you seeing? How can I change this in KDE?
Yeah,
Why do I like KDE so much?
Yeah. So no, it's not about that. It's just I'm discovering new settings that I never thought existed in KDE Settings, basically.
Very cool.
I know how to disable things now better than before, and yeah, this thing is more powerful than people give it credit. So, yay, KDE. But that's it. That's my top 3. What are yours?
Okay. Let's see. I've been, like I said, I just started using Zero in a production environment. I'm still on KDE. I didn't test any Gnome packages, no
Good.
experimenting this week because I cannot tell my new boss I'm sorry, I broke my computer. So I've been boring and productive this week. I'm using OBS Studio only as a virtual camera for Zoom, so that I can put my frames and my theming and stuff, and a couple webcam tweaks before I send it out to Zoom. I can adjust because Zoom doesn't give you a whole lot of control over what your final video looks like.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know if you've used OBS virtual camera that much.
No, I haven't touched it, but they use Zoom at work?
Yes, we use Zoom for our meetings.
Tell them about Jitsi.
I don't think that's no. I am certain that I am the only Linux user in.
No, it exists for Windows. It exists for Windows. It's
they're all Mac fans. Everybody there's using a Mac.
Oh yeah, well it doesn't exist on Mac, so okay.
Right. So I've been using Zoom for my meetings, but the important thing was that I was using OBS as the virtual camera to send it out. And I'll talk to you offline about that a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
You might enjoy actually doing that for Jitsi, how we're doing this for the podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you can pretty much set any OBS source to emulate a webcam. So if you wanted to do a desktop or a single application, it treats it as a webcam output, and then you select that in your other app as your webcam.
So I can take the frames I have set up in OBS here and put them in any app, basically.
Yes, that's exactly what I do in Zoom.
Okay, cool. That's a neat idea.
So you would use how you have your frame around us.
Yeah.
If you nest it where you have a group that's called, say, themed webcam.
Okay.
Where you have your frame, you have your webcam inside the frame, and you group all of it.
Yeah.
Then you set OBS virtual camera to the source of that group, and all of that gets pushed out as an emulated webcam to a new source. It's really cool.
Oh, okay. I'll have to see offline how that works.
Yeah, I think you'll like it.
What's your second one?
So OBS was my first. My second, I'm using Slack.
Oh, no.
It feels like a crappier version of Discord.
It is, because I used to use it at Apple.
I don't I don't like using Slack. It feels clunky. It feels
It
heavy.
is.
It feels
It is.
slow.
It is. It's heavy as AF. It's heavy AF. It's heavy AF, and chats leak into other groups and leak to whatever without you having control.
Right.
Oh my
Well,
lord!
not even that. Our channels allow threads in the channel.
I know. We used to do that when we were
And
working
it
on.
feels like if you don't watch the notifications for your threads, you will lose so much because it's not actually in the chat.
Yeah, it's
in a thread
hidden.
that's nested.
It's nested. Yeah, we used to have that because we used to when I used to work for Apple on the Siri project. We were French people. We were 36 French people or around that. And whenever we had a doubt on a certain request and we didn't know how to fix it, we used to create nested chats to talk about this, just me and two other people talking about the same thing, but it's the
so
same.
that nobody else gets the notification.
So nobody else gets the notification and knows what we're talking about, and so we don't bother them.
Right. I understand why they do it. It's just it doesn't work well for my workflow.
It didn't work well for our workflow because as soon as I turned my back to do something, I missed a lot of them, and it was really bad. That's why Apple's shifted to its own chatting system now.
Sure. Again, I'm using a lot of Slack, and I'm being introduced now to Notion.
Never heard of it.
No, but I'm happy that there are official clients for Notion. Notion is maybe it's like SharePoint. I don't know. I haven't had to use a lot of these documentation apps. I feel like after some research, maybe it'll be like maybe similar to SharePoint or something like that. All of our SOP documents are in Notion, and we can collaboratively work on documents there.
Oh yeah, this is something I didn't.
A lot of our reference stuff, because we're doing a lot in real time. We have to keep SOPs for new people like myself, or just. We do so many things that you're going to forget what to do and you need something to refer back to.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very happy that there have been at least what I'll call semi-native clients that pull that in.
Well, that's good because I haven't seen
cross-platform.
I haven't seen a lot of applications where you, like specifically on Office-based applications, where you can collaborate. I don't know if in LibreOffice you can. Never tried it. But collaborations on Linux, I haven't seen a lot of collaboration-based apps.
I'm really still learning the full capabilities of Notion and what it does. But for what we're doing, all of our documents are there. All
right. Well, I'll link that in the show notes as usual.
Yeah. If you wanted the app that I'm using, it's called. Let me pull it up in console here. I think it's called Notion-App-Enhanced.
Okay.
That's what I'm using.
It's on the AUR.
I think it is an AUR package. Yes.
Okay.
Because there are other ones like there is also Lotion.
Body lotion?
Lotion.
Body lotion?
Spelled like body lotion, yeah.
Lotion. Weird name.
I couldn't use it because I knew I'd be laughing on the Zoom meetings. So it just felt silly. But I'm using Notion-App-Enhanced. It's just pulling extra features, probably similar to the Windows version of Notion.
Yeah.
But I haven't had any weird crashes. Knock on wood, knocking on the table. Probably make the dog bark because she'll think somebody's at the door. Yeah. But I'm having a good time, and I don't feel like I'm using something other, if that makes sense. Like if you take Linux into a professional environment where people don't need it, there's 50 million hacks and workarounds and things that we put up with because we don't have the market share, and I'm not having that at all.
Well, that's cool. I just, on a closing thought, I just wanted to share the website of the podcast because it's up. It has been up. It's bytes.zerolinux.xyz, and it's using the same color scheme as the rest of Zero Linux because
as it should.
Consistency. And cool. This theme is one of the best WordPress themes I've ever had to use. It cost me quite a penny, but it's worth it for Zero Linux. And I've had that theme before Zero Linux ever existed. I bought that theme like in 2020 or 2019.
Yeah, you put your soul into Zero, and touches like that really show it.
Yeah, and so visit the website if you want access to all previous episodes or current ones. You will have access to the video up top. It's the main subject of the post. Then you have access, if you want to the audio version. If you want to just listen to the audio version with the multiple links, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it.
Wherever you listen, we're probably there.
We're probably there. We have the subjects, and everything will be included in the show notes. So visit the website, and let's.
Right.
This episode will be on top of these two. So yeah, and now to talk about the fundraisers.
Oh, Steve, I appreciate that you keep plugging that here, and I hope Zero continues to live.
Yeah. It's the least we can do.
This is the last part of a less fun part of the podcast.
Yes, it is. It's necessary, and you're putting in time to join me on the podcast every week. This is the least I can do.
Yeah, we now have an upcoming legal battle with some of the things that were explained in the GoFundMe. So I'll be updating later today sort of what's going on, but it's just a headache. It doesn't need to be a headache, and hopefully it closes soon.
Hopefully,
with both of us having work now, our path forward looks better.
God willing. With that said, I am running my own fundraiser as well because still people are not. Wow. I just realized one thing. Huh? Okay, thank you to whoever donated. Anonymous donated 50 euros today. Okay, thank you, Anonymous.
To Zero?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I haven't had
whoever our anonymous benefactor is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This means a lot. A lot of people don't realize that Lebanon is still Lebanon. It's not changing. It's not becoming better. It's more political battles, political parties fighting each other, and we are always caught in the crosshairs. As a result, now, starting December, we're going from 27 cents for the kilowatt on the grid power, all the way to $5 a kilowatt.
Wow.
Yes, and people don't realize that this affects Zero Linux negatively. They don't understand that.
$5 per kilowatt?
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, they're going from 25 cents all the way up to $5 starting December 10th.
That's going to cripple you.
Yes. That's why now it's more important than ever to reach the 900 euro monthly goal.
Good luck, Steve. You
deserve
it.
We are as a result, we'll have to turn off the mains more regularly than normal. Currently, we're turning off the mains at midnight, from midnight to 6 a.m. to save up on generator bills. But now we will have to turn it off during the day as well for a few hours. So we're gonna get less power.
Our dog's begging for breakfast over here. I think. Can you hear? Is she coming through the mic?
A little bit, not too much, not but.
We feed her. We do feed her.
So I need to update the information on there, but yeah, as a result, I won't have time to work on Zero Linux as much as before. That's another reason why I won't be able to work on many features when it comes to those for Zero Linux. That's why another reason why I moved to a stable branch where it's just iterative updates every month.
Yeah, makes sense. Less work to do, less need for power.
Less need for power, but you have to think about the refrigerator. We cannot keep our food rot in the refrigerator either.
No. Wow.
Yeah.
Good luck. I hope that does not last a long time.
Apparently, it's going to last only 6 months for now. For the first 6 months until we get a president. We still don't have a president. So once that's settled, then the electrical.
Run for president.
Hey, Steve for president. People use Linux. If I catch any one of you using Windows, you'll be in jail. Yeah, but unfortunately, that's the current situation in Lebanon, and jobs are not paying the difference. So you were paid $500 a month. You're gonna keep getting paid $500 a month. That's it. So you deal with the increase of pay of bills or whatever. I just bought 3 bottles of beer today. 3 bottles of beer cost me the equivalent of before. If I tell you the equivalent of before, it's almost $80 for 3 bottles of beer. But in today's value, it's only $15. But $15 for 3 bottles of beer. I'm like,
that's still a lot.
Yeah, they have no choice but to increase the prices. So they increase the prices, the pay is the same, people die. So
good luck, Steve.
Third world countries. Anyway, with that being said, on a lighter note, thank you for listening or watching. Everything will be posted on the website. Thank you, Jesse, for coming in again.
Absolutely. This is a highlight of my week. You know I love to do this.
And I love your setup. I forgot to say this on the podcast, but I love your new setup. It gives me the sweet vibes.
Hey, I'll be adding to it where I can. I've actually, it probably looks weird given that I have the GoFundMe going. I got a gig as an Amazon reviewer, so I'm fortunate that they're sending me this stuff, and I write reviews about it. I'm not out there, with a GoFundMe saying, "Hey, but look at my new lights. Look at my new." Things on the it's not coming out of my pocket. It's coming out of Amazon's.
So that's a cool gig. I would dream to have such a gig, but if they try to send me anything over here, it'll get lost in shipping. They would keep it because here it's not a good system. We don't have an addressing system. We don't have an address. So
go find Steve. Take this to Steve.
Take this to Steve. It's the white building next to the green one, next to that tree, next to that pool.
We have towns like that here.
Yeah, we still have that over here. We don't have a system addressing system yet. They've been talking about putting one in place for the past 50 years, but hey, we can still wait.
Hey. Well, thanks again, Steve, and we'll do it again next week.
All right. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.